There's a reason the wealthy seem to play by different rules. It's not just the cars or the houses or the vacations. It's the quiet advantage most people never see. The wealthy teach their kids lessons about money that the rest of society never hears. While the masses are told to save, work hard, and be grateful, the top 1% raise their children inside a completely different financial reality. A reality where money is not a burden or a mystery. It's a tool, a language, a system to be mastered. And here's the part that stings. Those secret lessons aren't complicated. They're just hidden. They're passed down at dinner tables, inside business meetings, between generations that already understand how the world really works. And by the time the children of the elite grow up, they're operating with an entirely different map of the financial world. By the end of this video, you'll understand the rules they learn early. The rules that keep their wealth growing even during crises, while everyone else feels like they're running harder every year and still falling behind. Picture two kids. One is being told, "Save your allowance, don't waste your money." The other is sitting quietly in the corner while their parents talk about property acquisitions, investment returns, and strategies for reducing tax liability. One child learns that money is scarce and easily lost. The other learns that money moves, grows, and responds to structure. This difference creates a psychological gap that lasts a lifetime. Wealthy children are exposed to money early, not as something fragile, but as something moldable. They watch their parents negotiate, buy businesses, sell assets, and take risks. They see money flowing in and out of accounts without fear. They see their parents decide how to use money rather than being controlled by it. They learn that money is not a boss, it's a worker. That early exposure removes financial intimidation. It turns complexity into familiarity. And once the fear disappears, curiosity takes over. Curiosity becomes confidence. Confidence becomes competence. But understanding money emotionally is only the first step. The deeper rules run much further. The wealthy don't teach their kids to work for money. They teach them to make money work for them. Most people only learn one type of income. Earned income. A paycheck. Trading hours for dollars. It's the structure that keeps society running, but it's also the structure that keeps most people stuck. Rich families explain the other types early. Passive income, portfolio income, leveraged income. They explain why a salary caps you, but ownership frees you. They show their kids why a job can support your life, but an asset can change it. Imagine this contrast. A child growing up thinking wealth comes from working more hours versus a child growing up understanding that wealth comes from systems. This is why one child becomes an employee and the other becomes an investor. The wealthy teach that money can multiply without your constant presence, that you can earn while sleeping, that intellectual property, equity, and capital appreciation are more powerful than a promotion. And once a child understands that income can scale independently of time, they begin looking for ways to build systems, not careers. But those systems rely on one principle the middle class rarely even hears about: ownership. It is the primary language of the wealthy. Rich kids are taught that the goal isn't simply to have money, but to own things that produce money. Shares in the family business, fractions of real estate properties, royalties from creative work, stakes in startups, little pieces of enterprises that grow quietly in the background. Even small ownership at a young age rewires the brain. Suddenly, money is not something you earn. It's something you deploy. It's something you assign tasks to. It becomes a soldier fighting on your behalf. This creates a type of security that a wage alone can never provide. Wages disappear the moment work stops. Ownership continues even when life gets disrupted. Most people grow up believing their income is their identity. Wealthy kids grow up believing their assets are their foundation. But ownership alone doesn't explain why rich families thrive even in recessions, market crashes, and global uncertainty. Their resilience comes from something deeper. The wealthy teach their kids that risk is not something to fear. It's something to manage. Most people avoid risk. They're terrified of losing what little they have. The wealthy don't have that fear because they understand the mechanics behind risk. They know how to interpret volatility. They know how to hedge losses. They know that fear-based decisions often destroy more wealth than bad investments ever could. Children in wealthy families see experiments, not catastrophes. They're given small investment portfolios to practice with. They're taught how diversification protects them. They learn why calculated risks create long-term advantage. This conditioning is powerful. It builds a mindset that can move boldly when others freeze. And during economic downturns, that mindset becomes a superpower. While the average person retreats in fear, the wealthy see opportunity. They act when others wait. They buy when others sell. They expand when others shrink. But this ability to manage risk doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's built on a detailed understanding of the system that surrounds it. The wealthy know the system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. And they teach their children how to navigate it, not emotionally, but strategically. They explain taxes, loopholes, legal structures, business entities, depreciation, deductions, and how to legally minimize liability. They teach the difference between personal expenses and business expenses. They show how income type affects taxation. They demonstrate how corporations can protect wealth in ways individuals cannot. Most people think the rich avoid taxes. The truth is deeper. The rich understand taxes. They learn the rules that ordinary people are never taught. They structure income through entities. They convert personal costs into business deductions. They pay their children through family businesses to shift taxable income. They position money so it moves with minimal friction. The average person sees a paycheck and a tax form. The wealthy see a chessboard. And children raised in that environment learn that the system isn't something to fear or resent. It's something to understand and use as infrastructure. But even knowledge isn't the final advantage. There's something more subtle and more powerful being passed down. The wealthy teach their kids that money is energy, not emotion. Most people panic when markets fall. Rich families stay calm. They've been conditioned to detach emotionally from financial turbulence. Their mindset is simple. Fear makes you weak, greed makes you reckless, but understanding gives you power. When the masses panic sell, wealthy families quietly accumulate assets at discount prices. When headlines scream disaster, they see patterns and cycles. They teach their children that downturns are not personal attacks. They're opportunities disguised as chaos. This emotional detachment is rare among ordinary families, where money is tied to survival, stress, and uncertainty. The rich learn early that emotional decisions cost fortunes. Once a person removes emotion from financial choices, the game changes. They stop chasing trends. They stop fearing losses. They move strategically, not reactively. And that leads to another secret rule that is rarely discussed openly. Wealthy families teach their kids that your network is your net worth. While most people inherit debt, fear, or survival habits, wealthy kids inherit relationships. A mentor who has built multiple companies, a family friend who runs a real estate fund, an investor willing to support their first venture, a network of people who see their potential instead of their limitations. Access becomes their safety net. Connections become their insurance policy. Relationships create opportunities long before talent or skill can. They're introduced to the type of people who change lives with conversations. They attend events where money moves silently. They learn to communicate in rooms where trust is currency. And because they grow up surrounded by success, they internalize success as normal. The masses fight for openings. The wealthy are handed doorways. But all these lessons, ownership, systems, tax strategy, emotional control, networks, lead to a final truth that changes everything. The top 1% don't just pass down money, they pass down a worldview where money is not mysterious, where wealth is not luck, where opportunity is not rare, where risk is not terrifying, where the system is not an enemy, but a framework. The average person is not poor because they lacked effort. They lacked the map. They were taught to follow rules designed for stability, not wealth. They were taught to trade time for money instead of using money to collapse time. They were taught to fear risk instead of manage it. They were taught that hard work is the key, while the wealthy teach their kids that hard work is only step one. Understanding these hidden rules doesn't magically change what you earn today, but it changes how you think, how you move, how you build. It gives you the tools to stop playing the game blindfolded. Money is not just about numbers. It's about perspective. It's about learning the rules that were kept out of your reach. Because once you understand the rules the elite passed down, you can stop playing the role the system expects and start playing the game on your own terms.